Captain Jung Kim rubbed his tired eyes. The night shift at Earth Defense Command was usually quiet. It was 2087, and humanity had spread to Mars and the Moon, but no further. The stars remained distant dreams. His screen lit up with a red alert. Jung sat up straight, instantly awake. "Sir, we have multiple objects approaching Earth," said his young officer Ta. "They're moving at speeds we can't match." "Show me," Jung ordered. The main screen displayed 10 large objects racing toward Earth. They moved in perfect formation. No human ships could fly like that. "Have they responded to hails?" asked Jung. "No, sir. We've tried all channels." Jung pressed the emergency button on his desk. Within minutes, the command center filled with sleepy-eyed officers. General Sung arrived last, his uniform hastily put on. "Report," he demanded. "Unknown objects. Sir, too fast, too big, not ours." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. After decades of searching the stars for signs of life, life had found them instead. "They're entering orbit," Tay announced, her voice shaking. On the screen, the objects slowed and took positions around Earth. The largest one, bigger than any human space station, settled into a stationary orbit above the Pacific Ocean. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the largest vessel. It's in English." "Put it through," ordered General Sung. A deep voice filled the command center. "People of Earth, we are the Doran Empire. Your planet is now under our protection. Surrender your military assets and prepare for integration." Jung felt his heart race. The message repeated 3 times, then went silent. "Send to all world governments," Sung ordered, "and get me the president." 3 hours later, Jung stood in the White House Situation Room. Leaders from around the world joined by video. The alien ship had sent no further messages. "What do they want?" asked the Chinese premier. "Integration could mean anything," said the European Union president, "from peaceful alliance to total conquest." The room erupted in arguments. Some wanted immediate military response. Others called for peaceful contact. President Min raised her hand for silence. "We need more information before we act. Admiral Han, you will lead a communication team." Admiral Han Su nodded grimly. At 60, he was Earth's most respected diplomat and military leader. "Captain Kim," the president continued, "you will assist Admiral Han. Your space combat experience might prove valuable." "Yes, Madam President," Jung replied, though he doubted his experience fighting in the Mars Rebellion would help against beings who could cross the stars. Before anyone could say more, an aide rushed in. "Madam President, the alien vessel is broadcasting worldwide. All channels, all devices." The room's main screen activated automatically. A humanoid figure appeared, tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. It wore something like armor that shifted colors as it moved. "I am Commander Tarek of the Doran Empire," it said in that same deep voice. "Your world has been selected for integration into our empire spanning hundreds of systems. This is an honor. You will surrender all military capabilities and accept Doran guidance." The being paused, then added, "You have 72 hours to comply. After this time, if resistance continues, we will begin pacification procedures." The alien's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "This would be unfortunate for your species." The transmission ended. The room remained silent for several long seconds. "Well," said Admiral Han finally, "at least we know what integration means." Outside the White House, Jung could see people filling the streets. Some ran in panic. Others stood still, staring at the sky where the massive alien ship was now visible as a dark spot against the blue. Humanity had just 72 hours to decide its future. Admiral Han Su stood on the landing pad, watching the sky. A small Doran shuttle was coming down to meet them. 6 hours had passed since the aliens' announcement. The world's leaders had agreed. They needed more information before deciding what to do. Captain Jum Kim stood beside the admiral. "Sir, are you sure this is safe?" "No," said Han, "but we need to buy time." The shuttle landed without a sound. It was sleek and silver, with no visible engines. A door slid open, and 2 Dorans stepped out. They were even taller in person, nearly 7 feet, with those same large dark eyes. "I am Admiral Hansu, representing Earth," Han said, stepping forward. "We wish to discuss your offer." The taller Doran nodded. "I am Tarek. You will come with us to discuss terms." Han had expected this. "Captain Kim and I will accompany you." "Only you," said Tarek. "The other stays." Han shot Jun a quick look that said, "If I don't return, you know what to do." Jun nodded almost invisibly. The inside of the shuttle was simple but strange. The seats seemed to form from the floor as Han approached. The craft rose without any feeling of movement. The Doran mothership was enormous. Han followed Tarek through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Other aliens watched him pass with what looked like curiosity or disdain. Han couldn't tell. Finally, they entered a large room with a window showing Earth below. The blue planet looked small and fragile from here. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Tarek. "We have many worlds, Admiral, but yours has potential." "What exactly does integration into your empire mean?" Han asked. Tarek made a gesture, and a 3D image appeared in the air. It showed Earth, but changed. Huge mines covered parts of the land. Massive factories stood where there had been cities. "Your planet is rich in resources we need," Tarek explained. "Your people will work in the extraction centers. In return, you receive Doran protection and technology, appropriate for your level." Han kept his face neutral, though inside he felt sick. "And if we refuse?" "Then we demonstrate our power on a few major cities. Most species surrender after that." Tarek said this as if discussing the weather. "Your weapons cannot harm our ships." "I see," said Han. "And how many other species have joined your empire this way?" 117, Tarek replied. "Some required more persuasion than others." Han needed to learn more. "You mentioned technology. What would we receive?" Tarek laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping. "Medical advancements, better food production, nothing that could threaten us, of course." "Of course," Han said, forcing a smile. "And would Earth have any say in its own affairs?" "Doran governors would oversee major decisions. The rest you may handle yourselves." Han nodded, thinking quickly. He needed to appear cooperative but uncertain. "This is much to consider. Our leaders will need time to understand the benefits." "You have only 72 hours, Admiral. May I return tomorrow with questions, to better explain to our people?" Tarek seemed to consider this. "You may. Bring others if you wish. We can show them the glory of the Doran Empire." Back on Earth, Han met immediately with the Emergency Council. "It's worse than we thought," he told the grim-faced leaders. "They want to strip mine our planet and use us as labor." President Min leaned forward. "Options. Their technology is far beyond ours," Han said. "But I've been invited back tomorrow, with a delegation." "For what purpose?" asked the Russian president. "To impress us with their power, but it gives us a chance to gather information." Han looked around the room. "I need scientists, analysts, people who can spot weaknesses." "You think we can fight them?" someone asked. Han's face was hard. "I think we must, because surrender means the end of everything we are." The room fell silent. Then the Chinese premier spoke. "Who do you need?" Dr. Jia Park had never expected to be in a room with world leaders. As Earth's top xenobiologist, she usually worked in her lab, studying samples from Mars and the Moon. Now she sat at a large table, looking at the limited data they had on the Doran. "What can you tell us, Doctor?" asked President Min. Jia stood up and pointed to a screen showing images of the aliens. "The Doran appear humanoid, but their biology is very different. They breathe our air, but their skin has a blue tone that suggests different blood chemistry. Can they be hurt? Asked the Russian president bluntly. Everything living can be hurt, Jia answered. We just need to find how. A young man with glasses raised his hand. Dali, technical analyst. He introduced himself. I've been studying the scans of their ships. He tapped on his tablet, and a new image appeared. Their shields create an energy field around their vessels, Day explained. But I noticed something interesting. When they communicate, there's a small fluctuation in the shield pattern. A weakness, maybe. Colonel Minho Kang, a stern-faced military man, shook his head. Even if there is a weakness, our weapons won't do much. Their ships are too advanced. Then we need to get closer, said Admiral Han. Find a bigger weakness. You mean your delegation tomorrow? Asked President Min. Han nodded. I've been invited to bring others to see the glory of their empire. Dr. Park should come to gather biological data. And Da Li for technical analysis. It could be a trap, warned Colonel Minho. It's a risk we must take, Han replied. We have less than 60 hours left. Later that night, the team gathered in a secure room. Captain Jun Kim joined them, along with 3 other military officers disguised as assistants. Our mission is simple, Han told them. Learn everything we can about Doran technology and biology. Find a weakness we can exploit. I'll need samples, said Dr. Jia. Anything I can analyze. And I need to get readings of their systems, added Da. Han nodded. But remember, we must appear cooperative. Impressed, even. The Doran are arrogant. They want to show off their power. We'll use that against them. Day opened a case filled with small devices. These look like ordinary tablets and comm units, but they're actually advanced scanners. They'll collect data without the Doran noticing. What about weapons? Asked Captain Jun. We can't bring any, Han said. They'll scan us. This is about intelligence gathering, not fighting. Not yet. Colonel Minho, who would remain on Earth, stood up. While you're up there, we'll prepare. All militaries are on alert. If you find a weakness, we need to be ready to strike. And if we don't find one? Asked one of the officers. The room fell silent. Then we face a choice, Han said finally. Surrender and become slaves, or fight and likely die free. Dr. Jia looked at the images of the Doran again. There's always a weakness, she said quietly. In nature, nothing is perfect. Not even advanced aliens. Let's hope you're right, said Han. We leave at 800 tomorrow. After the meeting, Jun approached Da. Those scanners, will they really work without detection? Day smiled slightly. I designed them based on what we know of their technology. But honestly, I'm not sure. This is all new territory. Welcome to First Contact, Jun said with a grim smile, where everyone's guessing and the stakes are extinction. Across the world, people waited anxiously. Some prayed. Others partied like it was their last chance. Military families said goodbye, just in case. The countdown to the deadline continued, each hour bringing humanity closer to a decision that would change their history forever. The fate of Earth now rested with a small team heading into the heart of an alien empire. The morning came too quickly. Admiral Han stood with his team as the Doran shuttle descended once more. This time, 7 humans waited on the landing pad. Besides Han, there was Dr. Jia Park, Da Li, Captain Jun Kim, and 3 officers dressed as cultural representatives. The shuttle door opened, and Tarek stepped out. Admiral Han, I see you brought guests. Han bowed slightly. Commander Tarek, these are some of our top experts. They wish to learn more about the glory of the Doran Empire. Tarek's large eyes studied each human carefully. Very well. They may come aboard. Inside the shuttle, Dai nervously touched the hidden scanner in his pocket. One wrong move, and they would all be in danger. Dr. Jia smiled politely at a Doran guard. Your armor is fascinating. What material is it made from? The guard did not answer, but Jiz's scanner silently recorded data from the armor. The mothership was even more impressive with more people to see it. June kept track of every turn, every door, building a mental map. The human delegation followed Tarek through vast halls, filled with strange technology. "This is our central command area," Tarek said, showing them a room with floating screens and Doran officers working at stations. "From here, we control a fleet that spans across your solar system." "Incredible," Han said, sounding genuinely impressed. "Our own ships require hundreds more crew members to operate." Tarek made the sound that passed for a laugh. "Your technology is primitive, but under Doran guidance, you will advance appropriately." Day moved closer to a wall panel, pretending to admire it, while his device recorded energy patterns. "The power system must be amazing," he said. "How do you generate enough energy for all this?" "Our core uses a resource you haven't discovered yet," Tarek said proudly. "It powers everything. Weapons, shields, life support." "Life support?" Dr. Jia asked innocently. "Do you need special conditions to live?" "We require certain radiation levels," Tarek explained. "Your sun produces too much of some types, too little of others. Our ships adjust for this." Jia nodded, filing this information away. A weakness, perhaps. The tour continued. At each stop, the humans placed small, nearly invisible devices as they pretended to examine things or leaned against walls. These would continue gathering data after they left. "And now," said Tarek, "our greatest achievement." He led them into a massive chamber with a clear floor. Below, they could see thousands of aliens working on what looked like weapons. "Our armory," Tarek said proudly. "One ship like this could destroy your major cities in hours." Han forced his face to show fear and awe. "I see now why resistance would be unwise." "Indeed," Tarek agreed. "Many species thought they could fight. All now serve the Empire." Captain June stepped forward. "If I may ask, has any species ever surprised you? In battle, I mean." The question was bold, but Tarek seemed pleased to boast. "Once, a world called Vexus developed weapons that damaged a small ship. We responded by destroying their largest continent. They surrendered the next day." Han nodded gravely. "I will share all we've seen with our leaders. They must understand both the benefits of joining your empire and the consequences of refusal." Tarek seemed satisfied. "You are wise, Admiral. Not all species recognize the honor we offer them until it is too late." As they prepared to leave, Dai stumbled slightly near an important-looking panel, pressing his palm against it. His most sophisticated device, thinner than paper, attached to the surface. "Forgive me," he said quickly. "Your gravity feels different." Tarek dismissed the apology with a wave. "You will return tomorrow with your answer." Han bowed. "We will. Thank you for showing us your magnificent ship." As the shuttle returned them to Earth, no one spoke. They all knew that the real work would begin once they were safely back on the ground, with the data they had risked everything to collect. Back on Earth, the team rushed to a secure underground facility. Time was running out. They had less than 48 hours before the Doran expected an answer. Technicians carefully removed the hidden devices from the delegation's clothes and equipment. Dad connected them to computers that began downloading the collected data. "It will take a few hours to process everything," Dad explained to the waiting leaders. Colonel Minho studied the rough map that Captain June had drawn from memory. "You did well to remember so much," he said. June nodded. "I counted steps between sections too. This area here," he pointed to a large circle, "seems to be their main power center." Dr. Jia was already working in a sealed lab, examining samples she had secretly collected. She had tiny bits of material from the ship's walls, air samples, and even a small blue stain that might be Doran blood. "Admiral," President Min said, pulling Han aside. "Was it as bad as you feared?" "Worse," Han replied quietly. "Their weapons are beyond anything we have. If we fight openly, we lose." Then we don't fight openly, the president said. Hours later, the team gathered again to share what they had learned. Day went first. The devices we planted are working. They're sending us data about the ship's systems. He displayed a complex diagram on the main screen. See this pattern? It confirms my theory about their shields. When they communicate with the surface, there's a brief weakening here. Can we exploit that? Asked Colonel Minho. Maybe, but it's not enough for conventional weapons to do serious damage, Dai admitted. Captain Jun spoke next. Based on my observations and what the devices are telling us, I've created a more detailed map. He showed a 3D model of the ship's interior. This section here is critical. It's where their command center is located, directly above the ceremonial hall where Tarek mentioned the final surrender would take place. Good work, Han said. But none of this helps unless we can find a way to hurt them. All eyes turned to Dr. Jia, who looked tired but excited. I found something, she said. The Doran have an unusual biology. Tarek mentioned they need special radiation conditions, remember? My tests show they're extremely sensitive to a specific type of radiation that's common on Earth, but must be rare where they evolved. How sensitive? Asked Han. Lethal, Jia replied. Even brief exposure would kill them. Their ships must shield them from it. That's why they need the special life support Tarek mentioned. The room was silent as everyone processed this information. So, Colonel Minho said slowly, if we could expose them to this radiation, we could defeat them, Han finished. But how? Their shields would block conventional weapons. Day, who had been typing quickly on his tablet, looked up. Not if the weapon was already inside their shields. Explain, demanded President Min. If we could smuggle a device onto their ship that released this specific radiation, their internal systems wouldn't be designed to stop it. They'd have no defense. Han nodded slowly. And they've invited us back tomorrow to deliver our answer. We'd never get a weapon past their scanners, Jun pointed out. Unless, Daz said, it doesn't look like a weapon. Something they'd expect us to bring. Something ceremonial, perhaps. Colonel Minho's eyes widened. A gift. A token of our surrender. Exactly, said Da. They're arrogant. They expect us to give up. What if we bring a special ceremonial object to mark the occasion? Han looked around the room. It could work. But what kind of device could generate enough of this radiation to affect the whole ship? Dr. Jia and Da exchanged a look. A modified nuclear device, Jia said quietly, adjusted to maximize this specific radiation. The gravity of what they were considering settled over the room. This wasn't just defense anymore. It was a strike that could kill thousands of aliens. We're out of options, Han said finally. They've made their intentions clear. Either we become slaves, or we fight with everything we have. President Min stood. Prepare the device, and may history forgive us for what we must do. The night passed quickly. No one slept. Scientists and military experts worked together in a race against time. With less than 24 hours until the deadline, they gathered again to share their findings. Dr. Jia looked exhausted but determined. I've identified the exact radiation frequency that affects the Doran. It's a type that our sun produces naturally, but their home star likely doesn't. She showed a diagram of the Doran biology based on her samples. Their cells break down quickly when exposed. That's why they need special protection on their ships. Day was next. He pulled up data from the devices they had planted. The good news is that our sensors are working perfectly. We now have a complete map of their ship's vital systems. On the large screen, a detailed layout of the mothership appeared. Red spots marked critical areas. And here, Da pointed to a pulsing section near the center, is their main life support hub. It regulates the environment for the entire ship. Admiral Han studied the map carefully. If we could disable that, every Doran on board would be exposed to Earth's natural radiation. Dr. Jia finished. They wouldn't survive long. Colonel Minho frowned. But how do we attack this hub? Their sensors would detect any weapon before it got close. That's where this comes in, said Da. He showed them a design on his tablet. A modified tactical nuclear device, small enough to disguise, but powerful enough to take out their systems. The radiation from the explosion would be enhanced to match the specific frequency the Doran are vulnerable to. Dr. Jia added, it wouldn't just destroy equipment, it would be lethal to every Doran on the ship. Captain Jun looked troubled. We're talking about killing thousands. Thousands who plan to enslave or kill billions, Colonel Minho reminded him. Admiral Han turned to President Min. The choice is yours, Madam President. The room fell silent as President Min considered the options. Finally, she spoke. They came to our home. They threatened our people. They gave us no real choice. She looked at each person in the room. Prepare the device. In a secure workshop, engineers worked to modify the nuclear device. It wasn't large, about the size of a small suitcase, but its power had been carefully calibrated. We need to disguise it, Daz said. Something that won't raise suspicion. A gift, suggested Captain Jun. A ceremonial object that represents Earth's surrender. The engineers nodded and began crafting an ornate box to house the device. It looked like a treasure chest made of gold and precious stones. The weapon was hidden inside, beneath layers of harmless material that would fool scanners. Now for the trigger, Da continued. It needs to be remote but undetectable. He showed them a simple device that looked like a communication badge. This will send the signal. One press activates a 30-second countdown. Enough time to get clear of the immediate blast area. Who will carry it? Asked Colonel Minho. Admiral Han stepped forward. I will lead the delegation. Captain Jun and his team will accompany me as honor guards for the ceremonial object. And me, said Dr. Jia. You'll need my help if anything goes wrong with the radiation settings. Day nodded. I'll go too. The trigger system might need adjustments. Admiral Han looked at their determined faces. These brave people were volunteering for what might be a suicide mission. One more thing, Dr. Jia added. I've developed these. She held up small patches. Apply them to your skin. They'll protect you from the radiation for a short time. Not indefinitely, but hopefully long enough. President Min stood. You all understand what's at stake. This plan must not fail. The future of our species depends on it. They looked at the ceremonial box, beautiful on the outside, deadly within, just like the Doran's offer of protection. Tomorrow, said Admiral Han, we deliver our answer. Morning came. The final day. In 12 hours, the Doran deadline would expire. In the workshop, engineers made last adjustments to the disguised nuclear device. Its outer case shone with gold and jewels. Inside was death. Day worked on the trigger system, his fingers moving quickly over tiny components. The remote is ready, he said. One press starts the countdown. 30 seconds later, boom. Dr. Jia entered with a small case. I have the protective patches. Everyone going to the ship needs to wear one. She handed them out to the team. Apply them here, on your upper arm. They'll absorb the harmful radiation for about 20 minutes after detonation. Will that be enough time? Asked Captain Jun. To get to the shuttle bay. Maybe, Jia said honestly. These are the best I could make with the time we had. Admiral Han nodded. We all understand the risks. President Min joined them, her face grave. The world's leaders have agreed. This is our only chance. If you succeed, humanity remains free. If not, we won't fail, Han promised. Colonel Minho arrived with 4 soldiers. These men will help carry the device. They're our best special forces operatives. The soldiers looked at the ceremonial box. They knew what was inside and what it would do. Does everyone understand their role? Han asked. Jun nodded. My team and I will guard the device until we reach the ceremonial hall. I'll monitor Doran movements and guide us through the ship, Dai added. And I'll make sure the radiation settings are correct before detonation, said Dr. Jia. Han looked at each of them. Once we're on board, there's no turning back. If anyone wants to stay behind, speak now." No one spoke. 3 hours later, they stood on the landing pad watching the Doran shuttle descend. The ceremonial box sat on a small wheeled platform, draped with a blue cloth representing Earth's oceans. "Remember," Han said quietly. "Look defeated, resigned. They expect us to be sad about surrendering." The shuttle landed. Commander Tarek stepped out, followed by 4 guards. "Admiral Han," Tarek said, "have you brought your answer?" Han bowed his head. "We have, Commander. Earth accepts the generous offer of the Doran Empire." Tarek's mouth formed that strange smile. "Wise choice. What is this?" He gestured to the covered box. "A ceremonial container," Han explained. "It holds symbolic items from Earth's nations, a traditional way to mark a historic agreement." Tarek seemed pleased by this sign of submission. "Bring it. The surrender ceremony awaits." They boarded the shuttle, the soldiers carefully lifting the heavy box. Doran guards scanned them with handheld devices. Dr. Gia held her breath. Would they detect the weapon? The scanner paused over the box. A guard said something to Tarek in their language. "What is this metal inside?" Tarek asked. Han had prepared for this. Gold and other precious elements. Earth's rarest metals, given as tribute to the Empire. Tarek nodded, satisfied with the explanation. The gold shielding had worked as Dai predicted, masking the device's true nature. As the shuttle lifted off, Captain Jun caught Han's eye. A silent message passed between them. So far, so good. The mothership grew larger in the viewports. Aboard it waited thousands of Doran who planned to enslave humanity. None of them knew that inside the beautiful box was humanity's answer to their ultimatum. Han felt the weight of what they were about to do. Thousands would die, but billions would remain free. The shuttle docked with the massive ship. The moment had arrived. "Prepare for the ceremony," Tarek announced. "Today, Earth joins the Doran Empire." Under his breath, Admiral Han whispered, "Not exactly." The humans followed Tarek through the massive ship. More Doran joined them as they walked, curious to see the species that was about to join their empire. The ceremonial box was carried by 4 soldiers, its weight requiring genuine effort. Captain Jun watched everything, mentally marking their path back to the shuttle bay. If they survived, they would need to escape quickly. Many important Doran have come to witness this historic moment. Tarek said proudly, "Your surrender will be recorded in our history." "We are honored," Admiral Han replied, his voice humble while his eyes remained sharp. Dr. Gia walked close to Da, whispering, "Are the devices still working?" Day nodded slightly. "The ship's layout matches our map. The life support hub is directly above the ceremony hall, as we hoped." They entered a massive round room with high ceilings. Hundreds of Doran stood in rising circular tiers, like an ancient arena. In the center was a raised platform where Tarek led them. "Place your ceremonial object there," he instructed, pointing to the middle of the platform. The soldiers carefully set down the disguised weapon exactly where Tarek indicated, directly below the ship's central systems. They couldn't have asked for a better position. "Perfect," Han whispered to Jun. More important-looking Doran entered the hall. One wore elaborate armor that shifted colors with every movement. Even Tarek bowed as this Doran approached. "Supreme Commander Vex," Tarek announced, "leader of the Doran fleet." Vex looked down at the humans with cold eyes. "So these are the Earthlings, smaller than I expected." "They understand the power of the Empire," Tarek said. "They have chosen wisely to surrender." Vex nodded. "Begin the ceremony." Doran musicians began playing strange instruments. The sound hurt human ears but seemed to please the aliens. Tarek stepped forward to address the crowd. "Today we welcome the planet Earth into the glorious Doran Empire. Their resources will strengthen us. Their people will serve us." The Doran audience made clicking sounds that must have been applause. Admiral Han was invited to speak next. He stepped forward, looking appropriately solemn. "People of the Doran Empire," he began, "today marks a turning point in Earth's history. We recognize the power of your civilization and the inevitability of our new place in the universe." The humans in the delegation bowed their heads, as if in sad acceptance. Only they knew that each was checking the placement of their protective patches. Han continued, "As a symbol of our surrender, we present this ceremonial container. Inside are treasures from all Earth nations, freely given to your empire." Vex seemed pleased by this gesture. "Open it. Show us these treasures." This was not part of the plan. Han hesitated for only a moment. "Supreme Commander, our custom requires that the box remain sealed until the ceremony is complete. Opening it early would bring great misfortune." Day tensed, his hand near the trigger device in his pocket. Vex considered this, then nodded. "Very well. Continue your surrender speech." Han nodded gratefully and continued. "For thousands of years, humans have fought each other. We have never faced a power like yours. We have never needed to truly unite, until now." As he spoke, Han made a subtle gesture with his hand. 3 fingers extended briefly. The signal. Captain Jun and his soldiers shifted positions, moving slightly away from the box and closer to the exit paths. Dr. Jia touched her patch, ensuring it was secure. Day's hand slipped into his pocket, fingers finding the trigger device. Han raised his voice slightly. "From this day forward, Earth will remember the Doran Empire as the civilization that changed everything for humanity." Tarek smiled, not noticing the strange intensity in Han's eyes. "And now," said Han, looking directly at Supreme Commander Vex, "we give you our final response." He nodded once at Da. In his pocket, Da pressed the button. The 30-second countdown began. 25 seconds left. Admiral Han kept talking, keeping all eyes on him. "We hope this marks the beginning of a new relationship between our peoples." 20 seconds. Captain Jun quietly directed his soldiers toward the exit paths they had memorized. Dr. Jia and Dai slowly backed away from the ceremonial box. 15 seconds. "Is something wrong, Admiral?" Tarek asked, noticing the strange movements. "Not at all," Han replied smoothly. "In our culture, we step back from a gift after presenting it, to show respect." 10 seconds. Supreme Commander Vex grew suspicious. "What are you?" "Now," Han shouted. The humans dropped to the floor as one, covering their heads. The Dorans stared in confusion. 3, 2, 1. The explosion was not as loud as they expected. There was a bright flash and a muffled boom, as if the device had been designed to contain much of its force. The ceremonial box disintegrated, sending golden shrapnel across the room. The blast wasn't meant to destroy the ship. Its real purpose came after. A wave of invisible radiation spread from the detonation point. To human eyes, nothing seemed to happen, but the Doran began screaming. Supreme Commander Vex fell first, his blue skin turning gray as he collapsed. Tarek stared in horror as his own hands began to wither before his eyes. "What have you done?" he gasped, falling to his knees. "We gave you our answer," Han said, standing. "Earth will not surrender." All around them, Doran were collapsing. The radiation that was harmless to humans protected by Dr. Ji's patches was deadly to the aliens. The blast had also damaged the ship's life support systems, shutting down the protective measures that had kept the Dorans safe from Earth's natural radiation. "We need to move," Captain Jun urged. "The patches won't last long." The humans ran from the ceremony hall, following their planned escape route. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Doran soldiers tried to stop them, but collapsed before they could fire their weapons. "To the command center," Han ordered. "We need to take control of the ship." They fought their way upward, past dying Doran, until they reached the bridge. The few aliens still alive there were too weak to resist. Day rushed to the control systems. "I can work with this," he said, studying the alien technology. "Give me a few minutes." Outside the viewports, they could see other Doran ships moving closer, responding to the mothership's distress signals. "Hurry," Han urged. Day's fingers flew over the alien controls. "Got it. The communication system is ours." Han stepped up to the command platform. Dai activated the broadcast system that would transmit to all Doran ships. "This is Admiral Han Su of Earth," he said, his voice firm. "Your mothership is now under our control. Your supreme commander is dead. The radiation that killed him will kill any Doran who approaches this planet." He paused, letting his words sink in. "This is humanity's response to your ultimatum. We are not your subjects. We are not your resources. We suggest you reconsider your empire's expansion policies." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Doran ships began to turn away. Within minutes, they were jumping to faster-than-light speed, retreating from Earth. Dr. Jia checked her monitor. "The radiation levels are dropping. The ship's systems are repairing themselves." "Can we fly this thing?" Han asked Da. Day grinned. "I think so. The controls are strange, but not impossible." Captain Jun looked out at the stars. "What do we do now?" Han's face was serious as he surveyed the alien bridge. "We learn everything we can. This ship, this technology, it's our ticket to the stars. And next time we meet the Doran or any other empire, we'll be ready." Back on Earth, people watched as the Doran fleet disappeared from their skies. They didn't know yet how close they had come to slavery or extinction. They didn't know that a small team had just changed humanity's future forever. But they would learn, and the galaxy would soon learn about humans too.